Hello, welcome back to season 2 of Two Equal Yoked Marriage, where we're looking at marriage in light of the Bible. Today we're going to read Genesis 3 from verse 6 to verse 8.
When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were open, and they realized that they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. Then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid from the Lord among the trees of the garden.
Wow, so at the beginning, it says that the woman saw that the food was good for food. Okay, now then it goes on to say that it was pleasing to the eye. How can it be pleasing to her? Maybe it's because of the serpent, of what he was telling her. And then it says something that's very interesting. It says it's desirable for gaining wisdom. So I don't know about you, but I've never looked at a fruit and thought, I could gain wisdom from that fruit. So again, it must be because of what she's hearing, because there's no way she would naturally just think this fruit can make me gain wisdom. So at the moment, she's really trusting the serpent and what he's saying. He's managed to change the way she thinks about this fruit. Then it goes on to say that she gave some fruit to her husband who was with her. There are two ways to look at this. Either Adam was with her, or it means that he was with her in the garden, and so she must have went to him wherever he was. First of all, if he was with her the whole time, watching her go through temptation, something that God has commanded them to not do, the only command that they've been given at this point, and he's just watching her, watching the serpent corrupt her and change God's commands, then he's failing as a husband. He didn't protect her from falling into that temptation. Now, if it's the other option, where she came to him and brought this fruit, I don't know about you, but if I was Adam, I'd be like, where did this fruit come from? I've not seen this fruit before. We've been eating from everything else, but I've not seen this fruit. Where did it come from? It's easy to look at this situation with Adam and Eve and look at Adam, the way he responded to Eve's temptation, and think, yeah, I could have done much better than that. But when I think about it honestly and think about how I'm doing with protecting Shari from sin, there are many ways in which I can fall short sometimes. And it's something that's quite important. Husbands, how are you doing with looking after your wife and making sure she doesn't fall into temptation? And also for you wives, how are you doing in being a helper? You're meant to help your husband in his walk with God and in his work for God. How are you doing with helping him to not fall into sin and temptation?
Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked. Why was that a thing that made them run and sew fig leaves to cover themselves? In a previous episode, we spoke about how there should be no shame in your marriage. This is the first time they hid their bodies from each other. From what? From each other, from the environment, from the trees, from the animals. What were they hiding from? It makes me wonder why that was their response. What did realizing that they were naked trigger in their minds?
When the woman saw the fruit, she saw that it was desirable for gaining wisdom. And it would almost seem like they gained some wisdom here, because, whoa, now they know they're naked. And now they're sewing clothes. And, for us, we wear clothes. This is quite a normal behavior to us. And you can look at this and be like, yeah, this is fine. This makes sense. Like, whoa, they didn't even know they were naked before. That's so bad that they were naked. But was it? Why was it bad that they were naked? Just like what my wife was saying. Because at the end of the day, they had no shame. That was the point in Genesis 2:25. They were naked and had no shame. Now they were naked and they were ashamed of their nakedness, which is a sharp contrast to where they were before. So Eve thought this fruit was desirable for gaining wisdom, but it doesn't seem like this fruit is really giving them the wisdom that they need. It seems that it's leading to their downfall. And then in verse 8 it says, the man and wife heard the sound of the Lord God. How many of us would want to hear God and to hear him talk to us and speak to us? You know, I pray a lot about God really speaking to me and giving me guidance throughout this life as we keep on going. You know, so they heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden. And he says this phrase, in the cool of the day. It sounds very interesting and a very interesting way to say it. But what was their first response when they heard the sound of God? They hid from God. Reading this, I was just thinking it's hilarious how they could think they could hide from an all-knowing, all-seeing, omnipotent God. How could they hide from God? It's just not possible. Yet their first response was to hide from God.
At the beginning, the Lord made everything so easy, so simple, so straightforward. He made Adam and Eve, he put them in the garden, and he had a relationship with them. It was easy access. They could see God, they could hear him, they could talk to him. There was nothing that was, in a way, hidden. Funny enough that they were hiding from the Lord, but nothing was hidden. And now, at this time and age, we kind of have to work hard to undo that process because of the hiding and the shame that came in. Now we have to seek the Lord's face, not because he can't be found and we can't see him, but because we have to get through so many barriers just to have a clear vision of where God is. God is there, but now we have all these walls and all these coverings that are stopping us from actually seeing God. And we have to okay, Lord, I really want to hear from you now. I have to get rid of all these coverings which are always tempting me and asking me questions, dangerous questions, and questions that make me wonder if that's what you said and that's what you meant and that's what you want me to do. And it's just the power of following what the serpent said and listen to Satan's voice now led us to this situation where we have to, in a way, we have to work so hard to just, keep up even the momentum every day. If we don't stay in our word, if we don't stay in prayer, if we don't keep ourselves pure from all the things that defile us, that bring us, cause us to feel that shame, then we stop seeing the face of God, and we stop hearing God's voice, and we start hearing all these other things, and we start hiding. And I also thought it was just so interesting that instead of coming to the Lord to be the solution, they hid from him. So I think about my children. Whenever they do anything that they probably know I will not be happy with, their reaction is kind of I don't know. If they know that it's something I'm not happy with, then they're not very willing to come and just be like, okay, this is what I did. But they're more likely to, I'm just going to hide it, or I'm just going to do this, I'm just going to move on, or whatever it is. And that's how we are when we sin, when we fall and we need help. Our first reaction is, Lord, I'm a sinner. It's more, let me just try to fix it by myself. Let me just change this around. I won't do it again. Let me not confess. Let me just keep it inside. And is that what is going to actually help us? Instead of coming to the Creator, the one who can actually fix our problems. This makes me want to ask myself those questions. Am I willing to come to the Lord and say, Lord, look, I've fallen short here. I know that you said I should not do this thing. I have done it. Help me fix it. And also I wondered, why did they hide? If they've already sewed coverings from themselves, why did they hide? Because they've already covered themselves. So what is there to hide from the Lord? Did they not think they did a good job? Was it not good enough? And that makes me think about how we try to fix our own situations, and we think, okay, many times I've heard, I am not in a place where I'm ready for the Lord to heal me, or I need to get to this level so the Lord can help me. And what does that mean? The Lord is there to, okay, Lord, I ate from the tree. I realize I'm naked. Can you please help me make some clothes to hide the nakedness that I'm now ashamed? Instead of, let me see this fig leaves, and I don't know if this will work, or have I covered the nakedness enough, or what is it? Why do they still hide? So much to consider there. And just to conclude, I want to reflect on myself what am I hiding from God? Which, they hid among the trees, which is just, the irony of it. You're not supposed to eat from the trees. Now you're hiding behind the trees so the Lord doesn't see you. And he's the one who created you. But I look to myself and I think, Lord, am I being open? Am I being naked? Like there's nothing hidden, there are no coverings. Am I coming to you and saying, Lord, this is what I've done. This is not according to your will. Please help me. I'm ready for the consequences that this might mean. But here I am, Lord, instead of let me hide and think the Lord won't find me. He will always see me. He'll always find me. But why am I coming forward myself?
We think, oh, I can hide from God, but God sees everything. He knows everything. There's no sin that is not being uncovered before the Lord. Sin thrives in darkness. Sin thrives where we hide. Are you trying to hide today? It's because sin wants to take you captive. The serpent led Eve towards sin. And because of her sin, she led Adam towards sin. And because of both of their sins, they hid from God. In Isaiah, it says, surely the arm of the Lord is not too short to save, but your iniquities have hidden his face from you. Our iniquities create a wall that block us from God, because God is a good God. He cannot be a part of sin. And so when we're stuck in sin, we can't be part of God. And it's natural for us to hide from God because we don't feel God. We don't feel God with us. And, we are in shame. Now, what were the steps that took Eve towards her temptation and further down and down into her temptation? First of all, she saw with her eyes. A lot of temptation can start from the eyes. And how are you doing with protecting yourself, protecting your eyes? Job made a covenant with his eyes to say that I will not look with lust upon a woman. Because it was his eyes. He knew his eyes were the problem. How are you doing? Are you making a covenant with your eyes, first of all, to not look lustfully at a man or woman? Or are you making a covenant with your eyes to avoid that thing that keeps leading you constantly into temptation, to sin? And then after she saw, she took. The serpent could not force Eve to take that fruit. It was Eve's own actions that led her to take the fruit. Are you making excuses for your sin? Are you saying, it was because of this situation that I sinned? It was because that man was eyeing me up and, coming after me. That's why I ended up in infidelity with him. It was because of that woman. She was seducing me. That's why I ended up in infidelity. Are you blaming someone else? It was because of our own inner desires that we end up committing those sins. We need to take ownership. And the final thing she did was she ate. She committed the sin. Some useful practicals. Have a conversation with your spouse. Talk about your sin and temptation and come up with ways in which you could help each other prevent from falling into the temptation and committing the sin. And then think about ways in which you're hiding from God currently.
Join us next week as we continue to dive into chapter 3 of Genesis and see what continues to happen and what we can learn from it. Please, as always, remember to like this video, comment. Please, we love hearing your comments. We loved reading the comments from the last episode, and share it with your friends and loved ones who you think might benefit from hearing from this. And I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.